an important question I've heard is whether you can actually file Chapter 7 bankruptcy before the 8-year waiting period's up. So the answer is that you may be able to file Chapter 7 before the 8 years are up, but you may not want to, which is what we're going to cover in today's video. Also, we will cover alternatives to Chapter 7 and a free debt relief calculator resource that I linked in the description below for you to compare options if you absolutely need debt relief. And also just remember, this video is made for informational purposes only and should not be construed as any kind of legal or financial advice. Okay, so today let's first cover what is a bankruptcy discharge. Let's understand the difference between discharge and dismissal. So a bankruptcy discharge is typically one of the most crucial aspects for filing Chapter 7. It's the court order that basically eliminates your legal responsibilities for specific debts. So for example, if you owe $15,000 in credit card debt and complete your Chapter 7 case, that debt may be discharged. This means that creditors, like credit card companies, may not be able to take actions to collect that debt anymore. Those actions that the creditor may typically try to do would be turning the debt over to a collector, sending your collection letters or making you phone calls to you, filing lawsuits to try to recover the debt, trying to maybe garnish your wages or seizing assets, reporting the debt as delinquent on your credit report. So basically, most unsecured debts, such as credit card bills, medical debts, and personal loans, may be discharged through Chapter 7. However, there may be exceptions like student loans or potentially even recent tax debts, which may not actually be dischargeable. So to receive a discharge, you typically need to complete your bankruptcy case, which includes steps like filing a petition, completing the required financial courses, and attending a hearing. If you don't finish the process, the court may dismiss your case without granting you what you're hoping for, which is a discharge. So with that all in mind, let's now talk about the 8-year rule for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. So there's an important distinction. You can typically file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy at any time, but you may not be able to receive another discharge of your debts until 8 years have passed since your last Chapter 7 filing. This rule typically ensures that individuals use bankruptcy as a last resort and not as a reoccurring solution to financial difficulties. So if you file Chapter 7 before the 8-year period is up, your case may still offer temporary relief through automatic stay, which basically pauses the creditor collection efforts. However, without a discharge, you may remain responsible for paying your debts. So with that in mind, that kind of begs the question, why file Chapter 7 before the 8 years are up? There may be many situations where someone may need to file Chapter 7 again before that 8-year mark. For instance, let's say someone has a medical emergency that could leave you with significant debts that you can't manage, or there's a recent job loss or basically reduced income that may make it difficult or impossible to keep up with existing payments. Let's say a previous Chapter 7 case may have been dismissed originally without discharge, so you may be able to file again sooner. Basically, the idea of these scenarios is try to highlight why the bankruptcy code allows multiple filing. It's basically there to try to recognize that life can be challenging and can lead to financial hardship more than once, obviously, in a lifetime. So with all that being said, let's now kind of go through different alternatives that you may be able to consider instead of filing Chapter 7 again before those 8 years are up. To do that, you may want to consider taking our free debt relief calculator that I actually linked in the description below. It should be able to provide you the estimated cost, pros and cons, and ultimately alternatives to Chapter 7 that's personalized to you. So first, let's talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So if it's been at least 4 years since your last Chapter 7 filing, you might consider Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chapter 13 basically reorganizes your debts into more of a manageable repayment plan, typically lasting 3 or 5 years. Some of the benefits of a Chapter 13 may be it could help you get caught up on missed mortgage payments. So you're basically filing a Chapter 13 to kind of help stop a foreclosure. It could potentially lower your car payments or save your vehicle, similar to stopping foreclosure. In that case, it would be stopping a repossession. It can allow you for a repayment of non-dischargeable debts like taxes, child support, kind of over the length of the Chapter 13. Now, while Chapter 13 can typically be more complex than Chapter 7, it may still provide the financial breathing room you're looking for. So now let's talk about the other alternative, debt settlement. So debt settlement's where you're basically negotiating with your creditors on settling past due balances for ideally 50 or 60% of what's owed. So for example, if you have a $10,000 credit card, trying to do debt settlement for that would mean negotiating with that creditor once this account has fallen behind far enough, which is typically about 4 to 6 months. It realistically needs to get charged off. And once it charges off, you or whether you hire a company, you would call the creditor and offer a settlement, whether that may be 50% of the balance. So in this case, $5,000. And typically you may be able to get that paid over a period of time, like 12 to 24 months. Okay, now let's talk about another alternative called Chapter 20 bankruptcy. A strategy sometimes called Chapter 20 involves filing Chapter 13 shortly after receiving a Chapter 7 discharge. While you may not actually qualify for a discharge in the Chapter 13 case, this approach may allow you to address remaining debts such as taxes, mortgage arrears, while still trying to protect any assets. Keep in mind though, this strategy comes with potential risks and complexities, so it may make sense to potentially consult with a bankruptcy attorney before pursuing that option. All right. My final thoughts. So trying to plan your next steps, it can be helpful to determine whether filing Chapter 7 before the 8 years may or may not make sense for you, whether it's because it doesn't lead to a discharge or something else. It's important to understand whether it's still going to help you provide temporary relief compared to other options. Now, again, it's essential to understand your options and work with hopefully a professional to determine the best course of action. So to close, remember, financial hardships don't necessarily define you. Bankruptcy laws exist for a reason, and they're typically there to help individuals rebuild their lives after unexpected events. So if you're considering your options, you can either consult with a bankruptcy or attorney or explore tools like our free bankruptcy and debt relief calculators linked in the description to help assess your eligibility. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below or call us at 833-272-3631. Thanks so much. Have a great day.